Well, there's an awful lot of chatter happening right now in Christian circles regarding Bible prophecy and whether or not Donald J. Trump has just fulfilled portions of the Bible. I've got a lot to share with you in this broadcast. And on top of that, there are a few hundred troops that have just spilled a mega secret about Donald J. Trump and this administration. I've got some rather intriguing stuff to share with you because here's the deal. The Iran is actually in the Bible. In fact, lots of countries are. But what's going on really does hint that there could be something more. But in the end, I'm going to leave that for you to decide. Let's start first with this. Did Donald Trump just ignite Bible prophecy? Well, there's an article on the Western Journal that I think you're going to find interesting. And by the way, my baby Diesel says hi. He's sleeping back there. If you hear somebody snoring, it's not me. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video. But take a look at this. This is on thewesternjournal.com. Trump may be fulfilling a major Bible prophecy as we speak. Jeremiah 49 appears to be coming true. The Bible prophet wrote in chapter 49 of Elam, a region in southwestern modern-day Iran. I'm just going to call that Iran, right? Thus says the Lord of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Iran, the mainstay of their might, and I will bring upon Iran the four winds from the four quarters of the heavens, and I will scatter them to all those winds, and there shall be no nation to which those driven out of Iran shall not come. I will terrify Iran before their enemies and before those who seek their lives. I will bring disaster upon them. My fierce anger, declares the Lord. I will send the sword after them until I have consumed them, and I will set my throne in Iran and destroy their king and officials, declares the Lord, which is, by the way, Donald Trump has just destroyed their kings and officials. But in the later days, I will restore the fortunes of Iran, declares the Lord. So they will have a coming back. The equivalent of a bow in modern times would be a missile launcher, and destroying the kings of officials is what happened when America and Israeli strikes took out the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini. What follows, based on the language of Jeremiah 49 about God's established throne, is that there will be a massive Christian awakening. So we know that one of the things that happens after this destruction of Iran is Christian awakening. Now, before I dive in any further, I got to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, amazing sponsor, by the way, and that's LisaHavenGold.com at Noble Gold Investments. Look, new numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise yet again, but you got to ask yourself, does your dollar go as far, say, as it did 10 years ago? You see, if your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, it is time to rethink that strategy. When inflation climbs, gold has historically moved higher alongside with it and helped investors preserve that buying power. That is where Noble Gold Investments comes in and can help you get your hands on physical gold and silver right now. And by the way, I want to encourage you, give them a call at 1-877-646-5347. Talk to one of their no-hassle specialists, because right now they are giving away this 1/10 ounce gold coin. And I put it in this pack here, but with any qualified and new account. If you want to check it out, you can also go to LisaHavenGold.com, fill out this information, and they are going to send you a free wealth protection kit. That's at LisaHavenGold.com. There's always a risk to investing. There's never a guarantee. If you want more information, click that more button or click the link in the description box below. All right. So here's what we have learned thus far regarding that Wall Street Journal article, right? We have Jeremiah 49 that talks about literally the destruction of Iran, or Southwest Iran. We're just going to put it together as Iran. And this is exactly what Donald Trump has done with all of the leaders. They've been taken out. Now, what happens after all of that is a revival. Going back to that Western Journal article, here's what it says. What follows, based on the language of Jeremiah 49 about God establishing his throne, is that there is going to be a massive Christian awakening, Rosenberg anticipates. Along those lines, Isaac Ben Beck penned a Monday opinion piece for the Christian Post titled, Khomeini Dead. Will Iran's underground church, fastest growing in the world, by the way, explode? Trump's action could dismantle the barriers to freedom in Iran, where the regime's radical ideology has rejected basic human rights and religious expression for decades. By striking the heart of the regime, right, and most notably Khamenei's death. These interventions create opportunities for democratic reforms in the country, and most importantly, for the spread of the gospel. So this is something that very well could happen after, say, Iran being obliterated, if you will, at a level by the Trump administration. And here's the deal. I'm not against this war with Iran because they have threatened to kill the United States of America over and over and over and over again. And at some point in time, we're going to have to act on that. But what's interesting is when you take the end times into account, the book of Ezekiel talks about one day that Iran will rise up against Israel, right, with a coalition of nations. And so what we already are seeing out of this war, and even before this war, is that coalition of nations forming. And that would be Russia, Turkey, Iran, and they are rising up, say, against Israel and maybe even the U.S. And this is what we're seeing come of it, because there have been some relationships formed with Iran and Turkey. So these are things we could very well see in the future. But with that, what is also interesting, right, is there have been about 200 accounts, according to Military Religious Freedom nonprofit organization. And this is in addition to that, there have been about 200 accounts from different areas stating that there have been, I think it's generals who have come out and said, hey, this Iran in this war in Iran was ordained by God. Donald Trump had this. Well, let me just, I want to get the specifics for you because I'm really butchering this right now. Let's go directly to the source. Here's militaryreligiousfreedom.org, Unit Combat Readiness Briefing and Armageddon. And here's what's going on. They were written, in this case, by multiple people saying, this is what's happening to people at our combat unit. This is the account of what's happened. And they're asking to protect their identity, right? And here's what it says. I am a NCO rank in our unit, right? It withholds the name. This morning, our commander opened up the combat readiness status briefing by urging us not to be afraid as to what is happening with our combat operations in Iran right now. He urges to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan. And he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation, referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. He said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Now, if I was I'm going to hit the pause button. I'm going to get back to this. Please don't read ahead. But if I was somebody under that commander, I'd be like, what the heck? You're literally telling me that Donald Trump was anointed by God to start Armageddon. I think this is a little extreme coming from these commanders, and this is as a Christian myself. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This commander had a big grin on his face when he said all of this, which made his message seem even more crazy. Our commander would probably be described as a Christian first supporter. He has been this way for a very long time and makes it clear that that he desires all of us under him to become just like him as a Christian. But what he did this morning was so toxic and over the line that it shocked many of us in attendance at the Ops Ready briefing. Beside myself, I am reaching out to the MRFF, that's this organization, on behalf of 15 fellow troops. I know you asked me about the religious views of the group who has requested help from the MRFF. I can only tell you that I am a Christian, and at least 10 others are also Christians, and one of those are a Jew, and one of those are a Muslim. I don't know the religion or non-religious status for the other three at this time. So this is a letter that was sent to this religious organization, and you have the soldiers there asking for help. Hey, what's going on? This guy, our commander, just said Trump is anointed by Jesus to start war with Iran, to cause Armageddon or whatever, and unleash it on the earth. Look, here's the thing. I don't want Armageddon to happen, right? If we got more time, obviously. And obviously not everybody's a Christian and follow those views, especially in the military. And to make a statement like that, so broad, you're going to scare an awful lot of people. And I don't think it should be, and you're more than I am a Christian, right? But you're more than welcome to disagree with them. That's a little weird to be saying to an entire group of people. In fact, there are about 200 people in total that this organization is saying that it was told to at different units. And that's what makes it interesting. But this is that same Military Religious Freedom group, but it was inundated with complaints of gleeful commanders telling troops Iran war is part of God's divine plan to usher in the return of Jesus. It's almost like, oh yeah, we're just going to start war instead of it happening naturally, so we can usher in Jesus Christ. This is literally what they're saying. And I think there's a lot of things to be said of that. But here's what it says. A combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers at a briefing on Monday that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald J. Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth, according to a complaint, right? From Saturday morning through Monday night, just a few days, more than 110 similar complaints about commanders in every branch of the military had been logged by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. The complaints come from more than 40 different units spread across at least 30 military installations. And the reports are basically up to about 200 complaints as it sits. I'd love to get your thoughts on all of that. But to say he's anointed to start a war and cause Armageddon, I mean, what kind of ideas are you putting in people's head? There's Bible prophecy, right? And Bible prophecy comes with a whole slew more of things. It's not just about one fight with Iran. There's so much more to it. There's 10 nations. There's a building of the temple, right? That's got to be built. There's a desecration of the temple. It's not just bang one war, right? So it's definitely kind of taken out of context or whatever in a way. You can agree to disagree with me. But anyway, that I think is a little extreme. What I do believe is, I do believe that we are seeing a fulfillment of Jeremiah 14 or Jeremiah 49 per that Western Journal article. And I think that's where I'm kind of going to sit on that. And obviously, everybody's got different opinions on all of that, but rather interesting to say the least. I can't wait to read your comments on that. Now, for the rest of this report, because we are here on YouTube and they don't allow things, then we are going to take those certain things over to my platform, Restrictive Republic. If you're not signed up there, you really gotta be. I'm doing an extended version on there, and this is going to include the CIA and what's going on with Iran. You're not going to want to miss this report. It's part 2. It's just going to be a long extended version. Use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5 to get it for $5 per month. Great way to support us, but come and watch that extended version today. But with all of that, my baby's trying to jump off the seat here. You'll just wait a minute here. He hurt his back, so there's only so much I could do. I don't want him jumping on his own. But anyway, with all of that, I just want to encourage you guys to please check that platform out. But anyhow, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.